wind screamed across the open plains that night, bending the dry grass and shaking the old wooden boards of Red Hollow Ranch until they groaned like a wounded beast. Lightning flashed in the distance, slicing through the horizon with veins of pale fire, and the thunder rolled over the land like the roar of an angry god. The smell of rain and dust clung to the air, thick and heavy. Inside the ranch house, the world was just as wild, but the storm there wasn't made of wind or thunder. It was made of secrets. Clara stood near the long dining table, her breathing sharp and uneven. Her hands, small and trembling, pressed against her middle as if she were trying to keep herself from falling apart. Her dress was torn near the shoulder and her hair clung to her damp face. The lantern on the table flickered, its weak flame fighting to stay alive in the draft that came through the broken window. Shadows danced across her pale skin, making her look ghostly. "I can't hold it in anymore," she gasped, her voice shaking, eyes glistening with tears. Across from her stood Ethan Cole, the rancher, tall, broad-shouldered, and built like the land itself, hard, silent, unyielding. But now even he looked uncertain. He wasn't used to feeling this way. He wasn't used to fear. The lines on his sunburnt face deepened as he frowned, his eyes narrowing as if the dim light could somehow make sense of what he was seeing. On the wooden floor between them lay a dark, uneven stain that spread slowly, like oil. Near the door, a heavy tarp covered something, or someone, that hadn't been there before the storm rolled in. "Tell me you didn't do what I think you did," Ethan said finally, his voice low, cold, controlled, but not calm. His hand twitched near his belt, though there was no weapon there yet. Clara's breath came out in a shudder. "He came for me, Ethan," she whispered. "He came when you were gone." Ethan's eyes flicked toward the tarp, then back to her. "Who?" She hesitated. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered a name, so soft it was almost lost to the storm outside. Ethan froze. He blinked once, twice, then took a slow step toward her. "Say it again!" "Luke," she choked. "Luke came. He said he'd tell you everything. About me, about what happened before. He said you'd throw me out, that you'd—" She broke off, sobbing. Her knees gave out, and she fell against the table, gripping its edge to keep herself upright. Ethan's face hardened like stone. Luke Cole, his younger brother, the boy who'd followed him into every fight, every season, every mistake. The one man Ethan trusted more than anyone, the one person he'd never raise a gun to. "Where is he?" Ethan asked, though the answer was lying just a few feet away under that tarp. Clara didn't answer. The lantern light flickered again, and the tarp's corner lifted just enough for Ethan to see a dark boot sticking out, streaked with mud and blood. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the thunder filled the silence. Then Ethan stepped closer, each footfall a heavy echo through the hollow house. Clara reached out weakly. "Don't, Ethan. Please don't look." But he didn't stop. He crouched, his big hands trembling slightly as he lifted the tarp. Lightning struck outside, illuminating the room in a cold flash of white. And what it revealed drained all color from Ethan's face. His brother lay there, his eyes half open, lifeless. The side of his skull was caved in, blood pooled around him like ink soaking into paper. Ethan staggered back a step, his throat tightening. "No," he whispered. "No. God, no." Clara was sobbing now, her voice breaking into ragged gasps. "He wouldn't stop, Ethan. He grabbed me. I told him no. I told him I loved you." He laughed. "He said you'd never forgive me for what I did before, that I was still the same filthy." Her voice cracked completely, and she couldn't finish. "I grabbed the poker. I didn't think. I just swung. And then he fell. I tried to wake him, Ethan. I tried." Ethan covered his face with both hands, his breath coming in harsh bursts. His mind spun. He couldn't think. He couldn't breathe. He'd known Luke had a temper, sure. Known he'd been drinking more lately, acting strange. But this? His brother, dead, right here on the floor of his home. And Clara, the woman he'd taken in, married despite the town's whispers, despite her past, standing before him, confessing that she'd killed the only family he had left. The storm outside crashed harder against the walls, rain now hammering the roof in torrents. The sound was deafening, but inside it felt even louder. The silence between them, thick as smoke. Ethan turned slowly toward the fireplace. Above it hung his shotgun, a weapon polished from years of use, familiar and heavy. Clara saw where his eyes went and scrambled backward, nearly falling over the table. "Ethan, please. You have to believe me." "I didn't mean to. He was going to hurt me." Ethan didn't answer. His boots creaked against the boards as he stepped toward the hearth. His shadow stretched long across the wall, swallowing the room. He reached up and took the shotgun down, checking it out of habit, even though he knew it was loaded. Clara's breath hitched. No, Ethan, you can't." He turned to her, eyes dark, unreadable. "You killed my brother," he said quietly, almost too calmly. "You killed Luke." Tears streamed down her face. "He was going to destroy us both." "I did it for us. For you." Ethan took a step forward. "For me?" His voice cracked. "You think this was for me?" "He wasn't the man you remember," she shouted, her voice trembling. "He said he hated you. He said he was coming to take everything from you. The ranch, the cattle, even me." "Stop!" Ethan barked, the words shaking the air. The sound made her flinch. The lantern flickered again, throwing their faces in and out of shadow. Ethan looked down at his brother again. His jaw tightened. "You could have come to me," he muttered. "You could have told me." Clara dropped to her knees. "Would you have believed me?" she whispered. "Would you? After everything they said about me in town, about how I ruin every man who gets close? You would have believed him, not me." For a long, terrible moment, Ethan said nothing. Then he closed his eyes and raised the gun, but not at her. He aimed it at the tarp. "Ethan," she whispered, frozen. "What are you doing?" He didn't answer. His finger brushed the trigger. "Ethan, stop, please." The thunder outside swallowed her words as the gun went off. The blast echoed through the house, shaking the windows. Smoke filled the air. Clara screamed, her hands flying to her ears as the echo faded. When the smoke thinned, Ethan stood motionless. The tarp was still, now torn through. Blood seeped further across the floorboards, glistening in the dim lantern light. Clara stared at him, horror written all over her face. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. Ethan's expression was empty. The kind of emptiness that comes when everything inside a man has broken. "No one," he said hoarsely. "No one can ever find out what happened here." She shook her head, trembling. "We could have gone to the sheriff." He cut her off. "And told him what? That my wife killed my brother? That the Cole family name means nothing but blood and lies?" He walked to the door, the floorboards creaking beneath his weight. "You don't understand, Clara. They'd hang you. And they'd take the ranch from me. From both of us." Lightning flashed again, bright enough to paint his face in silver light. It wasn't anger there now. It was something worse. A cold decision. Clara crawled toward him, desperate. "Then what are you going to do?" Ethan looked down at her, rain dripping from his hair as he opened the door slightly. The storm howled in, carrying the smell of wet dirt and iron. He turned back toward the tarp, then to her. "I'm going to make sure he disappears," he said flatly. "And you're going to forget this ever happened." She covered her mouth, shaking her head. "Ethan, no. We can't." He knelt down and grabbed the tarp, wrapping it tighter around what was left of Luke's body. "You want to survive this?" he said quietly. "Then you start now. You stay quiet. You don't cry. You don't pray loud enough for anyone to hear. Tomorrow, when they ask where Luke went, you say he rode out before the storm." Her voice cracked. "And if someone asks about the blood?" Ethan looked up at her, his eyes like ice. "Then I'll say I killed a coyote." He lifted the body, the muscles in his arms straining as he carried it to the door. Clara could only watch, frozen between guilt and terror. The storm swallowed him for a moment, lightning flashing again and again as his silhouette moved across the yard. When he came back inside, he was drenched, mud streaked up to his knees. He set the gun down on the table and looked at her. "It's done," he said. But it wasn't. The rain outside might wash away the blood, but not what they had done. Clara sat against the wall, her face pale, her eyes empty. "You buried him?" she whispered. Ethan nodded once. "Down by the creek." The ground soft there. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the sound of rain filled the silence. Finally, Clara whispered, "You think this will stay buried?" Ethan didn't answer right away. He walked to the window, staring into the darkness. Then he said quietly, "Everything gets buried eventually." The wind rattled the window pane, and somewhere outside a lone coyote howled, long and mournful. Clara looked at Ethan's back, the way his shoulders slumped just slightly, the way the stormlight traced the side of his face. There was something hollow in him now, something she didn't recognize, and she realized with a chill that crawled down her spine, that the man standing before her wasn't the same one she'd fallen in love with. The storm had ended, but the silence that followed was far worse. Because inside Red Hollow Ranch, the thunder had only just begun.